And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a great show planned for you. Hurricane Beryl. We still have more than 1 million people without power tonight, and several people are dead. Just tragic. Meanwhile, President Biden granted a federal disaster declaration covering more than 120 counties affected by Beryl. But he says Texas will receive federal aid later than we needed, because state leaders here were slow to ask for the disaster declaration. The White House says multiple attempts were made to reach Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Patrick has been serving as acting governor during Abbott's trip to Southeast Asia. Mr. Biden says he did not speak with Patrick until Tuesday, and that's after the storm hit the ground. Joining us in studio to talk about it, the politics surrounding Beryl, our state representatives, Jolanda Jones and Ron Reynolds, and political analyst Dr. Dietrich von Bietenfeld from Houston Community College. Glad to have you all here on The Factor Uncensored. So when you hear this little tiff between the president and state officials here, and it is causing us a delay. Your thoughts on this, Representative Jones?
So don't say state officials, say the governor and the lieutenant governor.
Okay.
Okay, the governor is in Asia on a trip, and he knew before he left that Beryl was going to hit Texas, right? It's like Ted Cruz whenever we had the freeze. And Patrick wasn't reached until Tuesday.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think he should have come back by now? And is it possible for him to come back? Because there were people in New Orleans at the Essence Fest who couldn't come back to Houston.
The people at the Essence Fest ain't the governor. So, yeah, he could have come back. But County Judge Hidalgo was out of town when she saw what was coming. She came back and told us that she came back. So, yeah, she did that. She spoke with the president on Monday. The governor didn't speak with the president on Monday, so he dropped the ball. And when you say state officials, I take offense to that, only because it's specifically the governor and the lieutenant governor. And the president shouldn't be calling. And let me be clear, this is not the first disaster we've had in Texas. It ain't going to be the last disaster that we have in Texas. And previously, they filed requests for disaster relief prior to the event happening. The Governor Abbott has. So his excuses are lame, and he failed, and that's why we're going to get relief later. Dr. von Bietenfeld, let's hear from you on this issue.
Yeah, I think it was tricky because we saw the trajectory of the storm shifting daily and even hourly, and so anticipating these things is a little bit tricky, but also we knew that the governor planned to be out of town to boost the economic prosperity of Texans. And so the idea that the president wouldn't be aware of the different time zones, or that he should be communicating with the acting governor, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, seems a little bit spurious, seems a little bit political, because at the end of the day, we appreciate that maybe the county judge flew back in town to do what? To, utilize certain security resources. And I know we'll talk about Minute Maid Park in a minute, I'm sure, but the idea is if you can't spend $20 million shifting electrical line, why not make $5 tickets so that more people can come into a cooled environment, as the Astros did, create a diversion, because there's nothing else that you can do if you're not a lineman. At the same time, the governor flying back to do what? Senator Cruz was in town to assess these things. The linemen are in town. There are existing plans. And so the president really should be coordinating with state officials to make sure that Texans, a huge voting bloc, get aid.
All right, State Representative Ron Reynolds, you are shaking your head when Dr. von Bietenfeld was talking.
Absolutely. I think my colleague, Representative Jones, is spot on. This is failed Republican leadership. I've had thousands of constituents that have been waiting in the dark, waiting for resources they couldn't access from FEMA because our governor couldn't get himself back to Texas. That is real leadership. When people need you the most, you're there. The buck stops with you. And then Lieutenant Governor Patrick, he's the acting governor, and he can't even act like the governor. The president, it wasn't his responsibility. He had to, as he said, reach out to the Chronicle to make a scene to say, hey, I am trying to get resources to Texas, but I can't do it without the request from the governor. So it wasn't the president's responsibility, it was their responsibility. He was going above and beyond. So they delayed resources that people desperately needed. This is failed Republican leadership. We saw it with Cancun Cruz, and now we see it with Governor Abbott and acting Governor, Lieutenant Governor Patrick. My constituents, like many Texans and Houstonians, are outraged, Isaiah. You've heard from them. I'm sure I've seen them copy Channel Fox 26. They're upset, and they should be, not just with Centerpoint, but with our failed leadership.
All right, Representative Jones, let's hear from you on this. When it comes to how this is impacting the people, they may not care about politics, but they want their lights on.
Oh, for sure, and they need electricity, right? Apart from just light, there are people that use machines that require electricity.
Yeah.
There are people that have medicine that require it to be refrigerated so that they can stay alive. I have a grandbaby. Thankfully, my son, they have a Generat. I went there, so this disaster affected me as well. So, you know, I'm retrieving calls from my constituents. I have a tree fell on my meter and there's gas leaking. I got to call Centerpoint. And then I'm really disappointed in Centerpoint because when I ask for specific answers, when my constituents want to know from me, when is my stuff going to come on? When they get into this? I don't have answers. And people look to the elected officials to have answers. But when you have a governor who doesn't put us in a position to receive aid in a timely manner, it makes us all look bad. But apart from that, it's taken live, and it's causing a lot of difficulty to families.
All right, we'll continue this conversation when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Still to come here on The Factor Uncensored. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. We continue our conversation about the political climate in Texas as we recover from Beryl. Our guests are back here on The Factor Uncensored. So guys, let's get a little local now. Mayor Whitmire has been calling out a lot of people, you know, talking about responsibility. Where has Centerpoint been? People are at a game at Astros while people are without power. Your thoughts on Mayor Whitmire being totally honest? So, Dr. Von B, what do you think? Mayor Whitmire gonna beat you up when you get off the set?
No, he got to catch me first.
But, you know, he's being blunt about the failures here in this city. Your thoughts about that?
Absolutely. And I think there's always a blame-shifting game because usually if you've got an administration, just like when we were talking with the president, they inherit something good, they take credit for it. They inherit something bad, and they immediately shift it to the other administration. I think Mayor Whitmire has certain responsibilities that are much easier to blame to Centerpoint because they have the public face of why are these transmission lines not underground? Why are these crews not already staged in a proper way? So it's very easy to pick on them. But we did see with the press conference that he was with the former sheriff. He was with Ramsey, who's a project engineer. So he had a team of people who are experts saying, let's get together and wherever the blame is, let's move this forward. And then we had an isolated separate press conference that was a little bit bizarre when you think these need to be unified city and county officials working together to work for our region.
So you're saying Mayor Whitmire and Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo, why weren't they together?
Senior leadership should be cohesive. When we talk about the disaster declaration, we should have seen quite a bit more communication.
It has been like that in the past.
Right, and that's what we're used to. We're used to Ed Emmett and Sylvester Turner coming together and saying this is a nonpartisan issue, this is an emergency for the region, and we did not see that this time.
All right, State Representative Ron Reynolds, is that an issue for you? Are you concerned about it?
I'm very concerned. In the spirit of transparency, I think being a statesman, you rise above whatever kind of petty differences you have to do what's in the best interest of people in need at time of crisis. So
you don't think this was about convenience? You think this is about personalities?
I think absolutely. I'm just going to be very real with you. They've made no secret about their dislike for one another, and I think it's time to put that aside. Do what's best for our citizens. We need the county judge and we need the mayor, the two heads of the city and the county working together in cohesion, doing what's in the best interest of our citizens. That means communicating, messaging, projecting strength. Houston strong.
But do you think we suffered from it at all with them having two different press conferences and not together?
I don't know if we suffered.
The work still was
I don't know.
done,
I
right?
wouldn't say we suffered from it, but there is always strength in unity. United we stand, divided we fall. And so I'm very concerned about the future. I think they need to work this stuff out. Behind the scenes, come out united. Even if they don't have a like for each other, they need to work together, come together as one Houston. That is what I think the citizens want to see. We don't need to see dueling press conferences. Why?
All right.
As a person who was at the last press conference they were at together, maybe they need to stay apart. That's just sort of devil's advocate. But I'll say this. At the city press conference, Mayor Whitmire was with a whole bunch of Republicans in Adrian. So the political allyship is weird right now. I'm not exactly certain because the Republicans or the Republican and some of the Democrats on the Commissioner's Court aren't always doing stuff, in my respectful opinion, for the constituents. So I'm not surprised. Would I like for them to be together? Absolutely they need to be together. But I think their differences with each other are causing us, the constituents, problems, from the president not being able to reach people to the mayor not being able to talk to the people in Austin not being available, the mayor not being able to talk to the county judge, just all kinds of stuff. But Mayor Whitmire made it clear pretty early on, he refused to speak. He refused to meet with the county judge. She wanted to meet with him. He didn't, and she pled, to people, hey, I want to meet with this guy, but he doesn't want to meet with me. So we're going to have to see them work together because the county and the city can accomplish more if they coordinate their efforts. Like maybe one entity or one governmental agency can do one thing, another can do another, and then they can come together and take care of everything. Right now, it's piecemeal, it's disjointed. They could actually be doing the exact same thing, which is why they need a mediator. Somebody needs to talk to them. I don't know who. We need to figure out who Lena Hidalgo listens to. We need to figure out who John Whitmire listens to. And somebody needs to get them in the room because they've got to stop doing this. It makes us look bad. In the meantime, we got people dying. We don't have electricity. Texas isn't doing right, the city of Houston. And even with the mayor, my question is, you're saying the city did this, but then you're the head of the city. So if the buck doesn't stop with you as mayor, then where does it stop? So we can't keep blaming people and expect to get anything solved.
All right, and Dr. Van Bietenfeld, do you think the public cares about all of these political parts that we're talking about here tonight, or they just want the work done?
Unfortunately, they're going to be impacted whether they care or not. The reality is going to cause them issues. You don't have to believe in gravity for it to affect you. And so these political disparities are going to really cause problems. But the public just wants their power on, they want their Wi-Fi working, and they'd really like some of these restaurants and gas stations open.
All right. Thank you all for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored tonight. We appreciate your time.